How does an empire rise from a forgotten frontier and endure for more than 6 centuries, shaping the fate of continents, bridging east and west, and leaving behind a legacy that still pulses through the veins of modern civilization? Imagine a quiet evening in the late 13th century. Somewhere on the edge of a crumbling Seljuk sultanate, a small band of warriors sits by the fire. Among them is a man named Osman, unremarkable in wealth, perhaps, but not in ambition. The world is fractured, empires are dying, and out of this chaos, Osman dreams of something greater. He is not a sultan, not yet, just a but in that firelight, the roots of one of the most enduring empires in history begin to take hold. He restructured the army, created the Janissaries, and centralized power, and with that came something rare for a frontier state: permanence. The Ottoman Empire would rise from humble beginnings on the Anatolian frontier to command 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. For over 1,000 years, Constantinople had stood defiant, the proud capital of the Byzantine Empire. Its massive walls had turned back countless enemies, but the Ottomans came with something different: giant cannons, clever tactics, and unrelenting ambition. He declared it a mosque, but left its magnificence untouched. A symbol, perhaps, not of destruction but of transformation. Constantinople was reborn. Its name would evolve to Istanbul, and it would become the jewel of the Ottoman world. It would outlast the Byzantines, eclipse the Mamluks, challenge the Safavids, and stand as a rival to the Habsburgs. He reorganized laws, promoted architecture, and elevated the Ottoman court to heights of sophistication that rivaled any in Europe. His chief architect, Mehmed Sinan, designed mosques that still define Istanbul's skyline today. The Roman Empire, what remained of it, was no more. They preserved Islamic tradition while absorbing Greek, Arab, Persian, and even European knowledge. Their legal system balanced Sharia with secular law. Their navy patrolled the Mediterranean. Their mosques rose into the heavens. Their markets bustled with spices, silks, and science. Europe was industrializing. Colonial powers were rising. The Ottomans, though still formidable, found themselves falling behind in technology, finance, and diplomacy. The Byzantine Empire was slowly retreating. Christian strongholds and Muslim principalities rubbed shoulders uneasily across Anatolia. But Osman saw opportunity where others saw disorder. Under his rule, the Ottoman Empire reached its peak in territorial expansion, a term coined by European powers who underestimated just how deeply rooted this empire was. The Tanzimat reforms modernized education, law, and the military. Railroads were built, newspapers printed, a constitution declared. From Budapest to Baghdad, from the gates of Vienna to the shores of Yemen, the empire stood unrivaled in the Islamic world. The Ottoman Empire, once the master of continents, faded into history. They inherited not just lands, but cultures, sciences, and trade routes that had connected the ancient world. A final attempt to assert sovereignty against growing Western domination. In the memories of cities like Sarajevo, Cairo, Damascus, and in the hearts of millions whose ancestors lived, traded, worshipped, and dreamed under the crescent banner. But for 600 years, they shaped a world between East and West, between tradition and change. And when the world blinked, the Ottomans had become a force no longer confined to the periphery of Anatolia. They were stepping into history as an empire. His own sons were drawn into deadly succession struggles. The empire's brilliance often stood beside its brutality, and that duality, power and pain, would haunt the dynasty for centuries to come. Through raids, marriages, and the forging of loyalty among warrior tribes, he began to build not just a state or its ability to endure. Through 6 centuries of change and conflict, history isn't just about remembering, it's about engaging, questioning, and reflecting. At its height, it would rule over more than 30 million people, but that was still far in the future. And in 1918, the Ottoman Empire, after over 600 years, lay in ruin. And share it with others who love history as much as we do. They are living stories, and those stories still speak to us, if we're willing to listen. He abolished the caliphate, reformed the nation, and charted a bold, secular course. Osman I, the founder, was born into a world of shifting alliances and endless raids. His son Orhan took it further. The Ottomans crossed into Europe in 1350, planting their banner on the European continent. Gallipoli was just the beginning. Then came one of the greatest military minds of the early empire, Murad. But it was under Mehmed II, known as Mehmed the Conqueror, that the empire truly announced itself to the world. In 1453, at just 21 years old, Mehmed led a siege that would change history. For 53 days, the city held out. Then, on May 29th, the walls broke. The Ottomans poured into Constantinople. Mehmed walked through the Hagia Sophia, once the grandest church in Christendom. From there, the Ottomans expanded in every direction. The Balkans, Syria, Egypt, Mesopotamia. And then, in the 16th century, came Suleiman the Magnificent. If Mehmed was the conqueror, Suleiman was the Lagavir, the golden emperor of a golden age. But Suleiman was more than a warrior. He was a poet, a reformer, a statesman. Suleiman's reign was not without shadows. His trusted friend and Grand Vizier, Ibrahim Pasha, was executed, many believe, due to court intrigue. As the centuries passed, the Ottomans faced new challenges. They adapted, sometimes masterfully. They created a complex bureaucracy, but the world kept changing. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the empire began to show signs of strain, and yet they endured. For hundreds of years more, they held their vast realm together, through reform, through resistance, through resilience. Then came the 19th century, the sick man of Europe, they were called. They lost lands in the Balkans, nationalist movements surged, wars with Russia, Britain, Austria, and internal uprisings chipped away at the Ottoman core. But still, they adapted. And yet, the end was approaching. When World War I erupted, the Ottomans sided with the Central Powers. It was a gamble, but it failed. The war drained the empire. British-backed Arab revolts fractured it from within. In 1922, the Sultanate was officially abolished. The last Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed VI, departed Istanbul aboard a British warship. But its story didn't end there. Out of its ashes rose the modern Republic of Turkey, led by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Yet the echoes of empire still linger. In architecture, cuisine, language, and law, the Ottomans left behind more than ruins or maps. They left behind a testament to the power of adaptability, the complexity of rule, and the burden of legacy. They weren't perfect. No empire is. There were triumphs and tragedies, enlightenment and oppression, and that, perhaps, is their greatest legacy. Not just that they ruled, but how they endured. So now I ask you, what do you think defined the Ottoman Empire? Its military might, its cultural fusion, its legal and architectural wonders? Let me know in the comments. If this journey through 600 years of power moved you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, the rise and fall of empires are not just lines in a textbook.